Will HMRC investigate me if I go into liquidation? Common question asked by a director, not unreasonable, but slightly, the emphasis is slightly different in the sense that, remember, it's the company that's gone into liquidation, not the director. People go bankrupt as individuals, they do not go into liquidation. Companies go into liquidation. Having said all of that, if we ignore the pedantic aspects of that, ultimately, if HMRC is going to investigate somebody, they're generally going to investigate the company. Now, I'll come on to the fact that there can be circumstances, there's always going to be exceptions, and I'll come on to perhaps one or two of the most basic exceptions to that principle in a minute. But as I said, the starting point is, if there is going to be an HMRC investigation, it is going to be into the company, and the company's transactions is not, by default, going to be into the director and the director personally. The two things really shouldn't arise, absent the exceptions. Now, the other aspect of this, before I come on to the well-known sort of exception to that, is that there is already, once the company goes into liquidation, another party that is doing some form of investigation in terms of a statutory investigation, which is somebody like myself, insolvency practitioner, the liquidator, etc. They have to do a basic standard of investigation into the conduct of directors and report on that to the Insolvency Service, as in every voluntary liquidation. In the case of a compulsory liquidation, that will usually be done by the official receiver, who's essentially the government civil servant liquidator. Now, as far as the exceptions are concerned, if we start from the premise that in the normal scheme of things, if it's a company, if there was to be an HMRC investigation, it would be into the company, not into the director as an individual. Obviously, companies cannot operate without the personalities behind them, which of course is going to be the directors who are running the company. And perhaps the most notable issue that can potentially arise is if there were transactions of interest that are either illegal dividends or transactions involving a director's loan account, whether it's overdrawn or otherwise. Those types of issues can sometimes, but not by default, spark an HMRC investigation. But you would tend to find that because there's been a liquidator appointed, to some extent, for routine matters, those issues may very well be left to the liquidator to sort out. If there are obviously serious tax matters in question, but it doesn't have to be that there can be all sorts of different reasons as to why HMRC might open a tax investigation into a company director. But if we're talking about something that's absolutely routine, then you would really expect that an HMRC investigation would not arise as a matter of routine procedure because of that, and it would be left to the liquidator, even in the case of directors' loan accounts and unlawful dividends and things of that sort. But no hard and fast rules about this, just the default position is that the company is separate to the director. Questions, queries, concerns, give us a shout. With no insolvency, inside out.